We'll move along as briskly as we can and try to cover everything that you're here interested in. We'll do our best. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Laurie right now. Actually, why don't I take a minute? Give me 1 second, Mark.
Sure.
I want to introduce the board: Nick Filardo, Rob Bilson, Tony Pareto, Clara Dunn, and of course, you know Mr. Laurie, and my name is Russ Petrozzi. Welcome and thank you for coming. Go ahead, Mark, you're up.
You give it to me? Good. Good evening, everyone. I just want to give a couple of housekeeping reminders. First of all, Wes, we're ready? This meeting is being recorded and is being played over the World Wide Web right now. We usually have between 200 and 300,000 viewers. So I would ask that there are no commercials in this presentation, but we have about 300 viewers. What I would remind everyone, including our speakers, our presenters, because this is not a speaking meeting, our presenters, make sure that you speak clearly into the microphone, as well as the staff, especially Earl. Speak clearly into the microphone, and make sure that our viewing audience at home, and as they watch it on replay, it's better actually if you watch it on replay. You can hear everyone. Secondly, just a little housekeeping information. It's great to see everyone here, and we appreciate that. You know, there are 2 emergency exits in the unforeseen cause of any kind of an emergency, one through the door to that side, one through the door to that side. So just make sure you're familiar with that. And there is a men's and ladies room right outside the building. Finally, just as a matter of security, I think there is one person that we need to eject before we start the meeting, Mr. Petrozzi. I'm looking for her. It's about an 88-year-old woman. It's my mother. Where are you? Are you still here? Would you please stand up? No. So we would like security to get that woman in the green shirt and make sure you escort her to her car. And this gives me ample reason to tell you that she has 3 sons. The good news is I'm her second favorite, not her least favorite, her second favorite. Her first favorite son works at Firth Jewelers, but that's another story. So, hi, Mom. I'm sure you're grading me tonight, so I'll do my best, Mom. First time I think it's the first time she's ever been in a meeting I was at in 40 years here. So, I am just super nervous. That's all I can tell you.
Mark, I'm very sure she'll tell you what you do wrong tonight.
Yes, yeah. And just a reminder, Mom, stop taking your shirts to Colvin Cleaners, all right? We have Capital Cleaners here, okay? All right, let's get serious. We do have a very busy agenda tonight. We have a special presentation we're going to make, followed by a presentation on a major purchase for the district. This evening, the Technology Committee is here to make a recommendation that they've made to me that I'll share with the board for the purchasing of 511 new interactive boards. That's why that board is over there and it's not usually there. That's followed by our school budget, which I know some of you won't be able to stay for, but I'll make a plug right now. The school budget requires a budget vote on May 16th. The good news, if you're not here for the budget, please know that we are in very, very good financial shape. I can't speak for the board, but I know their sentiment. You could expect another year without a tax levy increase, and we won't be having any FTEs laid off, which is always good news. And then we'll conclude that with an agenda review, and there is no need this evening, members of the board, for an executive session. So hopefully we'll be out of here by midnight, and we'll move smartly through that. So I'd like to make the introduction for the first presentation. About a month ago, Ms. Tompkins, the principal of Abbott School, invited me to come over to Mr. Peter Carlo's class because she had indicated that Mr. Carlo's students wanted to speak to me about something, and I had a really enjoyable 40 minutes in his class, and I thought what the students presented, not the adults, what the students presented was very good. And we decided today that instead of me bringing it or Mrs. Tompkins bringing it to the board or even Mr. Carlo, that we'd have students from Abbott School bring this forth. And I think that you will enjoy their words, and I really like the fact that this is student-driven. So Mrs. Tompkins, Lynn Tompkins, is the principal of Harry Abbott. She's excellent, along with Angela Manella, the assistant principal. I wanted to thank you, Lynn, for all your hard work that you're doing at Abbott School.
Thank you so much. As you know, we love what we are doing, and I want to thank you for allowing us to come tonight to join you. So Ms. Manella and I are very proud to introduce Mr. Carlo and some of our 6th grade representatives of the enrichment team. And I know that we have some friends in the seats. If you're a member of our enrichment team, please stand up. Do you mind? Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Also, we have our retired colleague and our friend, Mr. Frashone. Do you care to join us, or do you want to stay back? Okay, all right, okay, just saying. So as you know, last year marked our transition to a sister school, and it was a very large endeavor, and it was lots of moving parts, and we had a wonderful, smooth transition. We had some growing along the way, of course, but we also had some hardship. We did suffer a tremendous loss, and it's an unthinkable loss from a school perspective. I believe it brought us together as a school community, and I think, as you can see from our audience here, that perhaps it has. This hardship left a long-lasting impact and impression on our staff and also on our students. Okay, so when Mr. Carlo came to me with this proposal, and Mr. Frashone, once again, a wave out, with his mini lessons in civics and with petition information, a great plan began. So then at this point, I'm going to switch over to you, Mr. Carlo.
Thank you, Ms. Tompkins. First, before we get started, I'd like Joey Ruffalo to come down. He's going to do some presentations to the board. And then I will turn it over to Carmela, Lonnie, and Willie. Joey's passing around a copy of the petition that we had signed. We actually had 545 students and staff members sign it.
Hi, my name is Lonnie, and this is Harry F. Abbott's proposal to name the annual Soapbox Derby.
Who was he? Mr. Nadrowski was a safety officer that protected this building at all costs. He cared for the school in many ways, and he helped all of the staff and children in the school. He was always funny and was able to make everyone laugh no matter what was going on.
All of Abbott knows that we miss him. So, one of our retired deans, Mr. Frashone, came to teach our class about petitions. Our class, along with other enrichment classes, went all around the school to get signatures. We got 545 signatures from the students and staff. One of the reasons why we want
the annual Soapbox Derby to be named after Mr. Nadrowski is because of how much he helped with the Soapbox Derby every year. He would help build the soapbox cars, he boosted spirits, and the list goes on. Another reason why we want the annual Soapbox Derby to be named after Mr. Nadrowski is that he meant a lot to us in the school. He was always very nice, helpful, and caring. He made us feel safe and away from danger by providing a sense of security for the building. He also always had a smile on his face.
We would like to show our Abbott pride by having the annual Soapbox Derby named after none other than Mr. Nadrowski.
First of all, to the students, you did an excellent job public speaking, and I really like how you've put this proposal forward and how you went throughout the school to get this information. I personally think it's a great idea, and I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I wanted to recognize Mr. Nadrowski's wife, Donna, who is here. Donna is a enrichment teacher. Mr. Nadrowski's boys, Jack and Leo here, where are they? Raise your hands. Is Leo got the hockey jersey on? Do you have a game tonight or playoffs? Great. Well, we're expecting a win, Leo, by the way, and I know there are other members of Donna and Craig's family that are here, and I see his in-laws, Aunt Lucia and Uncle Larry, so I just wanted to recognize Aunt Lucia and Uncle Larry for being here. I just wanted to say this. It's apparent by the turnout that's here what an impact one man made. And while he's not with us, and we're extremely saddened by this, doing things like you did will keep his name, keep his memory, and keep the good work that he did at that school for kids alive. And I'm so pleased and proud that you came before the board to make this presentation and did such a wonderful job. I have a couple of questions, if you wouldn't mind students answering them, and maybe the board members might have questions for you too. So you don't get off that easy. You got to face a couple of questions. And I know he was along with Mr. Fershone. By the way, Mr. Fershone, we'd like you to substitute tomorrow if you don't mind. If you don't mind, that's part of the deal here. You've got to substitute at Abbott tomorrow, probably a first grade class or something. But here are my questions. Do we have a date selected for this year's competition?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Do you have an approximate when you'd like to do this? June 9th? Okay. Okay, June 9th, that's great. And students from Abbott compete in other schools as well? And will any of the students that are here this evening participate? If you're anybody in the audience, you're going to participate? All right, okay. All right, that's great. I think we talked about this 4 or 5 years ago when we thought, wow, what a cool thing. The Soapbox Derby, I think it originated in Ohio. And, what a cool thing to bring it back to Niagara Falls. And I think my last question is that if we go forward with this, let's make sure that we really get the publicity out there and we get as many people involved as we possibly can to let the community know, not just about the great kids, but about Craig Nadrowski that day. So that would be my only point of emphasis. I would open it up to any other board members who might have questions or thoughts. Anyone? Mr. Villardo?
What site are you going to use for the racing?
Yeah. The question was what site?
Site.
So it's right in front of the NAC, right on Pine Avenue, and this is the event that Mr. Clark has sponsored in the past. And last year was Abbott's first group. They extended it to Cataract and to Abbott, and that was our first go of it.
So it happens right down there, we block the streets off. Okay, great. What time of day was it?
It was late afternoon.
Okay, good. Good, we don't want to have a snow day for the kids. We want to make sure they're in school. Okay, just checking.
Absolutely not. I think we'll be safe.
Other questions, board?
Where can I
Use your
sign
mic.
up to help out?
Use your microphone.
I want to help these
Use
kids
your
build these things.
microphone.
Where can I, where can I sign up to help out? Just asking, just asking. I'm pretty good with wrenches, so I'm a good mechanic.
You can come to Abbott and work with Mr. Lewis and his club when they're getting the car ready.
So there are clubs that do this. I see Mr. Wotton, is your school going to participate again?
Yes, we are.
And you have a club that does it?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a group of teachers and a group of students that we've already started preparation.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Cataract takes this pretty competitively, right? Yeah. Great.
I have a quick question. How do you get lane choice? No, which lane, though, who gets left or right? Because one lane is much faster than the other. No, it's true. Pardon me? Okay.
Mr. Petrosi always has an angle. He wants to know what lane people are in. I think the students had a great answer. The very highly technical rock, paper, scissors is a great way to do it. And that's how you get the lane choice. Were you in the soapbox derby, Mr. Petrosi? You used to, I knew you did. You used to race. Yeah, the problem was he had a full-fledged car and he'd go at high speed, but that's good. I think it's really not just, it's as the Mr. Carlo and Mr. Wotton mentioned, it's a learning experience for kids. They've got to build these vehicles. They've got to think about physics. They've got to think about building. And it really tailors right into our need to develop more tradespeople, men and women in trades. And girls can compete as well as boys. I'm predicting a girl's going to win, but I'm glad that girls and boys can compete. That's wonderful. Other questions? I'd like to make a suggestion to the board, if I may, to codify, so to speak, and to officially commemorate this. I would like to ask that we put a resolution together, that we actually, signify by resolution, that we're not prepared for tonight, but that we do in the future to officially recognize Mr. Nadrowski through a resolution to call this for today and for henceforth the Craig Nadrowski Soapbox Derby. And the other thing is I really, really want to make sure that we push this so we get a lot of community members out there and more schools involved, and even at some point open this up to schools outside of Niagara Falls. I think we have to grow this. And while I'm glad we have a few Niagara Falls schools, I would love to compete and beat other schools while we're doing it. Just a little prideful thing, because I know the talent of the Abbott students and the Cataract students and the Maple students, and I just want to make sure that we do this right, we do it big, and that we really give the Nadrowski family the credit and recognition that they're due for sharing their wonderful son, husband, and father with us. And we commemorate his memory and won't forget him. And we'll at least celebrate him every day, but especially on June 9th when we do this. So having said that, and with your acquiescence, we'll prepare that for an upcoming vote and move forward. And I say thank you very, very much. And we appreciate everyone coming. This will be the best part of the meeting for sure, but we do have a couple of more agenda items to go through, and you're welcome to stay, you're welcome not to stay, but we're going to move forward. And I say To the three speakers, great job. To Mr. Ruffalo, who distributed the petitions, and to all the students who signed them, excellent job there, Mr. Ruffalo. Are you related to a Nick Ruffalo by any chance? You are. Do you know him? Oh, he's your dad. Oh. I didn't know that. I didn't know. How about Joe Ruffalo? He runs St. Mary's Hospital? Do you know? No, Memorial. He runs Memorial, yeah. Who's that, your grandpa? Yeah, he's a good guy. I better say that. I might end up there later tonight the way I'm going here. So I want to thank everybody very much, and great job, great presentation.
You know, Mark, I'll give everyone a few minutes in case anyone wants to leave. We'd love you to stay if you wish.
Oh, they're clearing out. Come on, keep them in here with more lights. Even your mom's leaving.
Dolores Laurie, please report to an exit.
Oh, my God. Terrible.
Excuse me, ma'am, what are you doing up here? It's a place. How about Uncle Larry? Huh? Yeah. Oh!
All righty, Mr. Laurie, should we move on?
Yes, we will.
Thank you, Mr. Laurie.
So I want to, first of all, thank you all for that, your attention. So I want to just set the stage for this, and then I'm going to turn this over to Ray. But I want to set the stage for this presentation. We have prided ourselves in Niagara Falls on being cutting edge in terms of technology for our kids. It is a great equalizer in terms of educational achievement. And we have an additional responsibility when it comes to making sure all of our kids have access to be competitive in the real world. And I know you would I know you have never said no to improvements in technology. But I want to begin first by recognizing Ray and members of the Technology Committee. Many of them are here tonight, some that you'll hear from, who worked tirelessly for months on making this decision in this process. And we also have a couple of teachers here who use this in their classroom to pilot it. The committee consists of teachers. The process was very clean, very open, very forthright. They spent a lot of time making sure that the best decision was made. We're spending close to $3.8 million, which of course you know is BOCES reimbursable. It was in the budget from back then. But it's a big investment, and without the careful work of the committee, I wouldn't be satisfied with what they've done. So I really want to thank you, Ray. One thing about Ray, you will not find a more methodical, thorough person anywhere. And that same skill set of being methodical and thorough has taken us to this evening's recommendation. And I want to thank you and the Technology Committee for your research, your upfront scoring, and the background that you did. There were a lot of Thursday mornings when you spent the whole time doing this. So we have about a 30-minute presentation for you and a little bit of a demonstration, and then certainly Ray and any member of the Technology Committee, and I see them out there, can weigh in on the questions. Ray, take it away.
Thank you very much for the lead-in. I'd like to start off with acknowledgments and to kind of piggyback on what the superintendent said, because very fortunate in Niagara Falls to have such a partnership. It's not a central office decision, it's not a one-person decision, it's not a school principal decision. It really takes a lot of individuals to cooperate and work together in the highs and lows and the grindy part of this business. And I just wanted to pause for a minute to, which I always do in these kind of events with the Technology Committee. I'm very grateful. I'm the chairperson of the Technology Committee, but I'm very grateful to have, if you just take a quick look at the names there, and I'm starting off with the superintendent of schools, who has a lot going on, and almost every meeting he stops in, reviews the agenda, provides directions, support, context, and assists us to get things. I don't know if that happens in every district, but it happens here. It's a cross-section of school-based personnel, classroom, BOCES support people, consultants, Niagara University. So it's just a great committee that I'm very happy to be a part of. Because of the depth of this project, we had to take a next step that we always don't do always. And I want to thank Abbott, Gaskill, and Niagara Falls High School, and in particular Peter Carlo, Jessica Altman, and Kimberly Maynard, who's with us here today. They didn't have to do anything. They decided to be a part of this, to take their part of their classroom and to view the board. So I thank them. Network staff, AV, my friend Big Wes over there. A lot of this board had a lot of stuff to do with networking and Wi-Fi and Android systems, and so it took a big team. And lastly, maintenance and grounds, because they had to cart that thing and a couple other boards that we had in district, all over the district many times. So I thank all of the above. Our agenda today, I'm going to talk a bit about the process. Dave St. Ange is going to talk about our evaluation system. The recommendation will come from the Technology Committee, but it comes from me to the superintendent to the board. And then we have a demonstration. We spent some time this afternoon practicing. We took on some things. We could have very easily come and did kind of a vanilla presentation, but the group here decided to kind of really press what we want to do here. So we're going to show you, and that will be the bulk of today is the demonstration, and then lastly be my next steps. So in the process, I just want to pause just for a little bit for context maybe and look back. And we started in 2007. We were kind of the leaders with smartboards. It was a district-wide initiative, projector-based, document camera, and smart notebook for software. And I have to believe we were one of the first districts to take on this kind of projects in the depth that we did. It was a typical rollout with some professional development, the installation of the boards. I was part of that when I was doing some kind of a more manual, grindy, boots on the ground type work. And we followed it up through integration all the way up to 2016. And the reason 2017 is kind of a pivotal year and where we first started to look to explore for new boards is things started to kind of mature and come together for the IS department in the district. Because between the year of 2017 and 2021, we started projects like you've heard me talk about, which is the development of a 10 gig internal traffic, which includes new fiber, new switches, and all the kind of network grindy stuff that my friend Wes and I can talk about. Which was very important to be able to manage the load and the, what this board will do, or any interactive board. The other key part that was probably more important, if that's possible, is the introduction of technology integrators. Now, we've always had our BOCES support. Phil Miano has joined us, and we've had other support from BOCES, which was wonderful. But right around 2018, we hired Ed Maynard, and he was our first in-house technology integrator to support these kind of adventures. Ed was in the Super Bowl during COVID, and we did wonderful things, and we continue to do wonderful things, and we said we need Dave St. Ange to join the club. Dave St. Ange joined the club. So I feel very comfortable today from a practical, network, and really most important from a professional development standpoint that we can introduce this kind of board with that kind of functionality. And that really is coming together almost complete and engulfs kind of 2017 to 2021. So in 2022, Rick Corella, Ed Maynard, Dave St. Ange, and I, Phil Miano, we went to the International Society of Technology conference. It was in New Orleans. This is a national conference, national vendors, resellers, manufacturers, because we really wanted to have the depth of what boards are out there. We separated, we hit the floor, we came back with notes, we shared notes, and it helped us to launch from a national perspective of what kind of boards we are interested in. And this is what we kind of landed with. So we went to ISTE. Actually, I was with Rick on the plane back, and I'm keying in all the results on the plane, all the things I learned, all the people that I met, and it was a great experience. So we came back, and we were kind of impressed with these specific vendors up top, and we had all sorts of other conversations from resellers and manufacturers and school districts that were using all this technology. So it was really enlightening and productive, and really launched us into the next steps. When the superintendent was talking about was that we hit the floor running in July with our internal evaluations. And I want to pause right now because I'd like to ask Dave to come up and to talk about all the different things we did from the perspective of evaluating boards.
You can do that one. Okay. Don't get up, Mr. Lord.
Or use my lines on me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good evening. I'm Dave.
Dave, first of all,
yes,
Dave, the suit has to go back at 8 o'clock, so
It'll
don't
be
be
back.
long.
I ran it. I got it. Yeah, usually we're a little bit lower key in our dress, but thank you very much. But yeah, I'm Dave St. I'm a secondary technology integrator, and as Ray had said, we kind of hit the ground at ISTE, the international conference that we went to, and the notes that we took, we all came back together and we found ourselves each in love with a different board. So we decided that we had to find a way to take the emotions out of the decision. So we came together and we developed a objective tool for scoring all of the boards. And we did this by reaching out with our BOCES counterparts, our network people. We even went to each of the board companies and said, give us your the keys that make your board different than other boards. And we put this, and we came up with a criteria system of about 40 points to evaluate these boards, and it gave us a more objective view of what we were looking at instead of an emotional connection that we may have had to each of the boards that we looked at. One of the other things that we did is, as we reached out to BOCES, we found out that other districts around the area were already using some of these boards. So we went out on a road show. We went out and went to Barker, Starpoint, Lockport, Newport, any district that would take us in to see, I know, sorry. But we had to, vet the boards. And, we came back with, pretty clear understanding that the boards that, we narrowed it down to, those 3 boards that we came to were the ones that everybody were looking at that time.
I think the important thing, Dave, though, is you talked to, you didn't just look at the board, you talked to the users.
Right, we met with the teachers, we asked the students, we spoke with the integrators, the directors from those districts, and made sure that, each of those things that we were doing in terms of network and other components that we're going to take into factor were addressed. And then one of the last things that we tried to address was to ensure that the board that we landed on was fiscally responsible. We went and made sure it was a BOCES aided board, something that we could purchase that would fall under the BOCES umbrella. So that was one of the reasons that we went that way. And then when we narrowed our field down, we were at 9 coming into the district, narrowed it to 6, and then brought 3 boards into district. The 3 boards, the Clear Touch, the Clever Touch, and Smart, which we already know we have Smart Board, and it was a feeling, very warm feeling like, wow, this is just like home. But we decided again that we had to stretch the technology. We wanted to make sure that we were putting our teachers, student engagement in a good place for the next 10 years, that we weren't just making a decision on something that was comfortable. And that's why the objective scoring tool, as you can see up there, it was based on 6 major criteria: hardware, software, financing. You remember the other I'm trying to think of all the categories that we had, but and finance, which was a big part of it too. So making sure that we address, and each of those were broken into smaller categories. There was 40 total points. Each was given a score with a weight, and it was very clear at the end when we landed on the board that we chose that we had done our due diligence, the teachers had stretched the boards, our network was in a good place, and we found the best option. So, would you like to make a Thank you.
So, thank you, Dave. So to that end, and there's a lot of detail I'd be glad to share with anybody at any time. This is the full document that shows our objective weighting system, and there's a lot of depth. We took this evaluation extremely seriously, and we landed, the technology committee voted last technology meeting that our recommendation to the superintendent and then eventually here to you is the Clear Touch board. And this is where it gets really neat, because I'm thankful Kim and Ed are going to put together a demonstration, some of the high points. And again, we really tried to stretch the board to give you a good indication of what it can do. I want to share with you that this is a demonstration board. We're not in production yet, so we had to back away from some things. I'll give you an example. We really wanted to show you the emergency broadcasting system that it has, where it can have a banner going across and information shares and messages from the superintendent, but that requires command software, which is a production level piece of software. We're in pilot mode, so we couldn't share that with you, but Ed and Kim and Dave put together a nice demonstration, and this is really what it's all about, so I want to stop talking.
All right. Thank you, everybody. My name is Ed Maynard. I am the technology integrator for the elementary schools. I'm joined by my lovely wife, my better half, Kim Maynard, who volunteered to take the board in her classroom and kind of run with it and see what we can do. So, well, let's see, make sure the little clicker here. All right, so for those of you that have been around, you might know a guy named David Letterman. May have heard of him, probably not. But he used to basically do a top 10 list every show. Okay. All right, so we're doing a little top 10 list of why we want to purchase the Clear Touch interactive board. Starting off with number 10. When we first started talking about boards itself, we asked the teachers, so what kind of things are you looking for within the new boards? And you know, this is the lowest tech of all of the things that we got going on with this thing, but almost every single teacher said, I want this thing to be able to move up and down. So when you look at this next picture here, we have a picture of Miss Lovely Karen Stevens here from GJ Mann. And you're going to notice that there's a red line that's going to cross your picture right now on your screen. That red line is right at her knees. Okay, now Ms. Stevens teaches sixth graders. So when she needs to get down to the bottom edge of the board, she is literally bending way down at the bottom of her hips to teach the sixth graders. And at the time when we first installed those boards, there's wiring and electrical and internet and all that sort of thing. So one of the first things they asked for was that the board can be adjustable. So can you go up? Is that as high up as it going or no? Oh, you're sorry. Dave, can you give her a, oh no, Dave can't give her a boost. Ray, can you? No, Ray can't give her a boost either. All right. So yeah, so that's why we got, okay, there you go. So the board itself can actually raise and lower, all right? Right now it's on a wheel stand right here. Most of the boards are gonna be mounted to the wall, and even when they are mounted, they're still gonna have the ability to go up and down, so they won't have that tripping hazard that might be at the bottom there, okay? But just the ability to raise and lower the board, and you saw how low it was at the beginning, so a person like little Joey Ruffalo over here, or even the pre-Kers can walk right up to the board and they can write all over the board. So we thought that that was a very, very big, important feature to have on our boards. So, and it's not uncommon, a lot of the boards do have that feature. So the picture that you have on your screen right now on the right-hand side, that's kind of what it would look like actually in the classroom. It's just gonna have that center bar that's gonna be anchored right into the wall. All right, and then the buttons on the background that you saw my wife pushing that will raise and lower the bar. So that was number 10. Moving on, the 9th reason to purchase a ClearTouch interactive board is the clarity. So there's no real demonstration here on this one, but if you take a look at your screens right now, these are 3 interactive boards that we currently have in the district right now. These are pictures from our classrooms that are taken about 10 feet away from the board. And really, when you look at those 3 pictures, there's one board there, A, B, and C. There's one board that has a brand new bulb, and the rest of them, pretty much throughout the rest of the district, look like the other. And I'm not going to try to insult anybody, but I think you can pretty much figure it out that projector B there is the one that has the newest bulb, and even that one is really, really hard to read. Projector A and board C are, I mean, they've seen their time. I mean, they're 12 years old now. The bulbs are almost impossible to get anymore. Like you can barely, if I'm a kid sitting 20 feet in the back of the classroom, I'm not able to read that. And these are pictures taken from 10 feet away. So really, again, it's more about clarity. All right, moving on. Our 9th reason to purchase a ClearTouch interactive board is the flatboard, AKA tabletop version. All right, unfortunately, we were not able to get one of those boards in here to demonstrate for you, but I do have a quick video that I want to share with you. It's about 20 seconds long. But basically, in a nutshell, basically what we can do is they have the ability, this is the only company that can do that, they have the ability that the board itself can tilt and lay flat like a table and drop. So basically, we reach out to our students with ADA issues, ADA compliance. We can get to our pre-Kers, we can get to our kindergarten students. We can put 4 kids around the board, and all 4 kids can be interacting on the board at the same time, doing 4 different things. So just to watch a quick video here.
Now we each have individual zones. So if you guys will come and join me and just open up whatever app you want to open up, we should be able to see how we can all interact together at the same time.
So again, you have 4 different people working on 4 different zones.
You should begin to notice that everybody can work independently of one another, and we can also all still have
control over their own quadrant of the board. Yes, we are purchasing at least one of these in every single building. This one will be on wheels. This one cannot be mounted to a wall, but it will be on wheels. And again, you can, have a chair right up underneath it, or you can stand at the table. There's a picture of some kids that are using it as well on your screens. So again, we thought this was a really good way to reach out to that population of students. Okay, and again, one of the only ones that we found, one of the only companies that we found that has a board that can actually do that. Okay, moving on. Number 7 reason for purchasing a ClearTouch interactive board is a 20-point multi-touch screen. All right. I think the best way to kind of demonstrate this is to kind of look at our teacher over here, Mrs. Maynard. So with our current smart boards, you can really only have one person writing at a time. What you're seeing now is you got 2 people that are writing math problems, writing out their words, making their shapes, using multiple fingers to touch the board and whatnot. All right, so it's 20 different points of touch on that screen. Okay, again, this is something that our current smart boards could not do. So a lot of the teachers always wanted to, I want more whiteboard space, not smart, but I need more whiteboard space, because if I'm doing math problems, I want to bring my students up to the front to show math work. I can only have one kid standing at the board. Now the other 28 or 26 or whatever are just sitting in the background. So this enables us to have at least 3 elementary school students up there, 2 high school students shoulder to shoulder doing problems simultaneously. So that's a 20-point touch minimum or multi-touch panel. Again, it could be used with pens, it could be used with different color pens, size pens, fingers, whatever you need to write on. Question? Yeah, most of the other boards do have a 20 multi-touch, but there are some that only have 10, so that was a pretty much a deciding factor right there. But that's a pretty common feature within a lot of the boards. Question?
Mr. Maynard, quick question on the touch points.
Mm-hmm.
What's the, what would be the right word for it?
How sensitive?
No, like the warranty, like if one section, burns out or doesn't work anymore, the lifespan for the touch points, how easy is that to be fixed? Is it all looped into one thing from a warranty perspective?
It's not considered an LED board where it's a panel board, like a display board kind of thing. It's literally a computer, tablet, and a monitor all wrapped into one big package. All right, so basically, yes, if something happens on there, there's a computer. Hey, Dave, if you want to just point out that side over there. So there's an onboard computer system that's right in there. So it's an actual computer that's built right into the back of the computer. So if something does go wrong with the computer side of it, take that little, computer component out, it's about that big, and you slide the new one in, and you're ready to rock and roll. And if, for some unknown reason, the whole board decides to go, we are purchasing more that are going to, kind of be in the wings just in case, that we can just roll in while that other board's being fixed and swap out. So really, the install of these things are going to be a lot nicer and a lot simpler than the current smart boards, where they're all mounted to the walls. It's literally a couple of brackets. Most of the weight is going to sit on that center bar, and then it's just brackets that are going to the wall so it doesn't tip forward.
We do have a service plan, is that what you're asking? We have some of the replacement of the screens and that,
Yeah.
all built into the package.
Yeah, the warranty.
Like if the sensitivity failed or I guess my question mainly was, what is the time span that they recommend? Hey, she's touching it and that arrow looks amazing right now, but in 5 years, is there more lag at that point? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can only go off of what we've heard from other districts right now, and because these boards are relatively new, especially in Western New York. StarPoint's had them in their buildings now for a good year, and they have not, knock on wood, they've said they have not had one issue with any of their boards. Another nice thing is when we go for training, we haven't even been to train on this, so we're by no means professionals or experts on this board. But one of the nice things that also was a nice selling feature from this company is that when it comes to a warranty, they're going to come out and train us as technology integrators to train the teachers, but they're also going to come out and train our tech associates and our tech people to, if there's something wrong with the board, that they can actually fix the board in-house. Many companies, when you have a warranty, they have that little sticker that's on the computer, and the moment you tear away that sticker, oh, warranty's done. They understand that that's not, like, if you have a teacher and nurse need to work, it's, we need this board to work like right now. So they're going to train our people in order to fix that as well. Okay. Question, sure.
Okay, so it does all that stuff, obviously, it plays videos, movies, things like that.
Everything, yep.
It's on the internet, so we can pull it off the internet or off our servers.
Yep.
It's wireless technology.
Wireless technology, yep. And it's going to be hooked right in with our Microsoft 365 account, so teachers can, all the training we've done with Microsoft 365 and Office, all those skills now are going to blend into the board. And actually, the teachers, like I said, this is its own computer in itself. So the teachers are actually getting a brand new computer and a tablet and a board all at one time. So they're going to have a computer and they're going to have that computer that's built in too. So it's kind of multi-purpose.
One more quick question.
Sure.
That smaller board that was on top of
Mm-hmm.
the tabletop model,
Mm-hmm.
say you have 4 students
Mm-hmm.
working on that, and that will enable you to still have 3 students on this thing too, or say 4, or whatever age.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At the same time, so they can actually do different things.
Sure. Yeah, it would be, No, it's a whole separate board. It would be a whole separate computer system. Like you would have to like roll it in, and you'd have that as a station where I'd have 4 kids rolling around that station, then 2 kids maybe coming up to this station, and well, you know, so all over the room. Depends on how creative you really want to get there.
You might get to this, but is this Bluetooth technology? Like if a teacher wanted to show a video on a down day, could they stream it from their phone or their computer?
They can cast it. We're going to demonstrate casting here in a minute. Yep, we can cast from a phone, you can cast from a computer, you can cast from wherever else we need to get it from. 'Cause that never does happen, especially around holiday season, showing videos and whatnot. Anyways, all right, moving on here. Number 6. The number 6th reason. All right, we're getting there. Expanded software, also known as the Snowflake software. Oh, do you have the keyboard? Oh, did we lose it? Oh, sorry. All right, so basically what you're going to demonstrate next is the Snowflake software that comes with it. So the board comes with lifetime updates, lifetime software. So with other boards, you have to purchase the software every single year. Even though you're buying the $5,000 board, you have to buy the software along with it. This board's not like that. When you buy the board, you get the software for life. Any of the upgrades that have to come out, you get that as well. So this particular software definitely enables us to kind of push our teachers into the next level. Like Dave was saying earlier, if we would have purchased Smartboard, which is what we currently have, there's really not going to be much advancement from the teachers because they're going to just stay in the world that they've been working in for the last 12 years. So this will kind of maybe get them out of their comfort zone a little bit, but maybe pushing them into the next level of software usage. Daredevil 1. Okay. So the Snowflake software, this is an online software. So a teacher can take their laptops home, develop their lessons at home, or develop their lessons in another classroom, or on vacation, or on the beach, wherever else they want to go. They can save all their products, they can save all their projects, and then push it up, and then the teachers can then access it when they get to their classroom. All right, let's see how good a science teacher and elementary teacher know their continents. All right, nicely done. Whew, they got it right. I was a little worried about that one, Ray. Mm-hmm. So, again, these ones are also come from the teacher community. So these are programs and activities that other teachers would have built using these boards. So again, these would be something that a kid would do, a station. A kid can come up and let's see if a biology teacher knows her planets. She better. She's married.
You're the only one that could have done that. There is no one else, maybe Miss Chowdhury. You're the only one that could have done that.
My goodness, I was worried. Okay, if we can go to the polls next. All right, so we thought we'd also see that since this is an interactive board and everybody so far has been sitting most of this presentation, if you want to take out your phones real quick, if you want to participate, I have a 4-question movie quiz. I know a lot of us are movie fans around here. And if you can take out your phone and just point your camera, so you have to go to your camera app and point it at that QR code, it's going to take you to a website. And go ahead and do that. I'll step out of the way. Here we go. This is where the fun begins right here. Can you zoom in a little bit? Oh, yeah. Your cameras. You may have to zoom your cameras in, especially my friends that are sitting over here. Or you can come on over.
I got it. If I got it, you're in trouble.
So once you're in there, it's going to ask you. I got 7 people in there. In the interest of time, we're just going to push this thing forward. All right. Oh, okay, we got a couple more coming in. We got 8. We got up to 8. I really only thought we'd have 1 or 2, but all right. Oh, we got 9. Look at this. 10. Look at us. Look at the advancement in this. This is how long have we had this board in this room? 5, 10 minutes.
6 more
Come on.
minutes. Go ahead.
We got people using QR codes and everything. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start this. So go ahead and if you can hit next on the board there, Mrs. Maynard. All right, go ahead and hit begin. Let's see if you guys can answer. These are just some movie scenes. If you can figure out which movie this is, go ahead and, oh, you hit the thing? No helping, no cheating. No helping, no cheating. You got 20 seconds. Is it Rocky 1, 2, 3, or 4? You can tell a guy made this one, I'm sorry.
I saw it at Jerry Lewis. I saw this at the Jerry Lewis Cinema. Must have been Earl Smeal.
Earl Smeal. This is Rocky IV.
You messed it up, didn't you? Yeah, you.
So, just throw in the damn towel. Right. Okay, very good. We only got 24%. Let's see if we can get this nice Italian movie here.
Yeah, that's easy. You want me to recite the sentence?
Oh, Rob.
Come on, Clara, we're gonna work you. Come on. Turns to me, says, Fredo, you broke my heart. Kissed him. I knew it was you. I'll give it a
I'm
line.
sitting next to Al Pacino here.
Fredo, you broke my heart.
All right, let's see, 56%, much better.
All right, who had the 33? You guys got to get up on your moves. I think they're offering it on AMC this weekend. By the way.
All right, here we go. One more movie question here. All right, this might be a tough one. Is this Jaws 1, 2, or 3?
Ed, seriously, or Kim, could as the teacher, could you know?
I can download this to an Excel file.
So you could download this to an Excel file to see that Earl Smeal's gotten every question wrong so far. Okay.
Smealy, you got it, baby. Come on.
All right, let's do oh my goodness. Wow, okay. Hold on one second, hold on. All right. All right, and our last question, so that was Jaws 2. Jaws 2. This so far was our worst question performance of all time.
I did too.
All right, our last one is not actually a movie question, but in the interest, in the Super Bowl around the corner, we do have a Super Bowl-based question here for you. Good luck. Who are the opponents of the Buffalo Bills in the wide-right Super Bowl year?
All right, ladies. Ooh, go on.
No cheating. Is it the Cowboys, the Commanders, which were probably the Oilers, or the Giants?
Hey, Ray, it sure wasn't against the Miami Dolphins, baby.
Oh, this was our best question. Look at that, 82%. Even Earl got this one right. Nicely done.
You said the Dallas Cowboys. We gotta educate you guys too.
Well, Washington Commander. Well, okay. Well, okay, so we had a little bit of fun there. Thank you very much for enlightening us. I appreciate that. But this is just an interactive kind of a thing that you can do within the board. We do have other programs, in all honesty, full disclosure. There's other programs like Nearpod and Lumio and those kinds of things that do this. But I wanted to show some software that's really kind of native to the board.
To Russ's question on the previous, is this a unique feature to Clear, or is this pretty standard?
To be quite honest with you, I really don't know if other ones have a polling system. I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay.
To be quite honest with you, I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, if we can go into actual Snowflake itself now. So this is the online version. So again, teachers can create this at home, then bring it into their classroom, turn their boards on, and away they go over here. So now this is what's called the actual desktop application of it. So this is the software that's actually installed on the board itself now. Okay. So there are several tools that we have at our fingertips, literally at your fingertips. Let's go to the piano. Want to start with the piano there real quick? Right there. So again, we really wanted to find another tool that was not just for the classroom.
Here you go, Mr. Bass. Let's go, Mr. Bass. Bilson, Bass.
Chopsticks. Yeah, but you don't dance on this one, though.
Early
You don't put your feet on this.
Can you play?
Right.
Can't play?
And she was a music major, majored in that for 3 semesters. Okay.
Rob, can
Sorry,
you play
honey.
the piano? Can you play?
Sorry. Yeah, it was 3 semesters. 3 semesters, music major. Okay. All right, I think we'll move on.
It's pretty cool.
So this is a little sample activity. Did you find yours? Yeah, let's load up. Okay. Go ahead, you can talk about this.
This is just a quick nose. It basically makes connections, web connections, so that you can do interactions when you're, doing cross-curricular information. So I just did a quick food web because that's easy. Everybody remembers it. So, I can talk about starting with grass. There's a beautiful picture of it. I can say, crickets and mice will eat grass, and then give the students another chance to come up with a third organism that will eat that. And then I can go ahead and continue from there and just build my web from here. This is all editable, or it can be solid, just as a demonstration. We can add pictures and links in here. So, for instance, I can add pictures. I can even add links in here to show videos. And it just connects. So it's just a great way to show it. Students can come up here and build it. It's pretty interactive and relatively easy once you get used to where to play. So, and it's great.
It's very pretty.
I got another question.
Sure.
So if we have a snow day or we go remote, okay, so if you get the QR code and you pop it, it goes through the screen, and you should be able to be.
You'll be able to do anything we did, whether there is
Equipment at home.
in front of you or at home. 100%. That's big. Okay. So that's a little bit about the software. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Maynard. I have a
Oh, I'm sorry.
curriculum and usage question. Should I wait until the end because I don't want to interrupt the presentation?
It's up to you. I mean, yeah,
Would
go
you-
for it. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. We have seeing this excites me. I like social media. I like my iPhone. I like iPads. So I'm assuming children are going to be the same way, right? We live in a different world where they're very interactive and they want to, be immersed in what's happening. So we have outdated smart boards currently that are not able to do these types of things.
Right.
And let me see, make sure I phrase this the right way. Rick or Mark or anyone that would like to comment, do we feel confident that our entire staff are going to use this technology to its fullest, or will they be required to use this technology to their fullest? I guess a follow-up to that question would be, are some teachers that might have been teaching for a long time have a way of doing things that works very well for them and their students, but maybe this might not be something that they would use all the time? Because to me, this is something, I'm not a teacher, by the way, I'm just saying as a user, I would be excited about this, right? Rather than getting a piece of paper, and maybe we've gone that way because the current technology isn't where it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me start, and then I'd really like Rick and other teachers or committee members to jump in. So, and really Ed deserves quite a bit of credit for this. During the pandemic, something that he created without giving any judgment against or for teachers was he created a continuum. It was almost 1 to 9, 1 to 6. Yep. And in each one of those numbers, there were skills associated with that number. And he asked people to self-rate. And there was no, I would have been a 2, That
would have been generous, but yeah.
I would have been a 1.
You would have won. You would have won.
I would have been a 1. Peter Carlo would have been a 9. Yeah. Okay, so we're always going to have teachers somewhere between 1 and 9. The goal through the training that we had was to move everybody from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on and so forth. What I have observed, to the question, Robin, this is just a faraway observation, is we are going to offer tons of staff development. Teachers still have their ability to decide in their curriculum, as long as they're following the curriculum, how it applies in their toolbox. What really will drive teachers to move from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and so on, in my opinion, are the students. Because they're going to leave Mr. Carlo's class in 6th grade at Abbott, and those 7th grade teachers certainly better be ready to use this technology or learn to get on that continuum, because they've learned at a level that and what I realize with the teachers is they'll quickly find out that I got to get ahead of my kids. So as much staff development as we plan on doing are going to do, I think the kids will drive the speed at which it's done. And I would be lying to you if I said that in a year, 2 years, everybody's going to be a 9. We still, even with all the efforts you've made, and Ed and Dave have made tremendous growth, as have some of the in-school the teachers that just are next to, classrooms next. How'd you do that? How do you do that? That's how it's going to grow, and that's how it's going to push. But this is really the equalizer for kids. As you said, this is going to get kids excited. It's a school, a disciplinary tool. You get kids involved in this, you're not going to be discipline problems. You're going to be interested in going at this. So that's just from my position how I rate it. I don't know, Rick or Ed, if you have any other comments.
No, I would just say that I think that our teachers will make full use of it for 2 reasons. One is because we have Ed and Dave working in districts solely dedicated to this. If we did not, I wouldn't be confident about that, because everyone needs assistance. They need a knowing other person that can quickly show them and redirect them and help them through something, because we're all busy, and if we don't kind of get instant gratification sometimes, and if we can't work through something quickly and learn a new skill quickly, sometimes we will give up. But we have these guys who are available to work with people at a moment's notice. They get a Teams message, they respond right away, they travel throughout our buildings, so they're always right there where the need is, and that's hugely important. I think one of the reasons that we survived the pandemic as well as we did is because we had already made an investment in in-district technology support personnel. If we hadn't done that, it would have been a whole different experience for us. So I think people are always willing, but we have to provide the support, and we do have that. So that will bring people to the next level. And I think too that all of our resources have been curated and have a lot of digital pieces to them, but it's much more, this is much more than a display board. Our current software, it has some limitations. This is, at this point in time, is pretty limitless. So people are going to be able to use it a lot more with assistance.
I just want to say to your point, Rick, one of the skills that Ed and Dave bring are they're approachable people. They're not know-it-alls. They're not. They were carefully selected for their approachability. Ed and Dave cannot be in 450 classrooms. That's why people like Kim and Peter and others, they're just here. Others also are going to be called on, because we can't just wait for Dave. We can't wait for Ed. They can't be everywhere. But Kim's in a hallway with a lot of people. Peter's in a school with a lot of people that he's been willing to voluntarily go and do this with. And it goes on and on. But I think that we've got to use the power of the people and their approach, which I think is the most critical thing. They have to make people feel like, okay, I'll help you with it. I'll help you with it. Let me demonstrate it for you. Let me teach this lesson. Then you take over the next time. I don't know.
Right. No, 100% agree, and that's what we're here to do. But 12 years ago, when we first put the smart boards in, we had teachers telling, no lie, like these are some of the quotes. I'm going to put paper bags over that thing and just be able to write on it. I'm going to put a sheet. You know the teachers I'm talking about. I'm going to put a sheet over top of that thing, and I'm never going to use it. Now, when those smart boards go down, they're like this. I can't teach. I can't teach, right? Am I right? They'll call me every day. I can't teach. My smart board doesn't work. I don't know what to do. So I think we're definitely a lot better off than we were 12 years ago, and I think we're just ready to run.
Earl.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a camera on top, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So my question is, would teachers within a building or in 2 separate buildings be able to use that and maybe co-teach cross district?
Sure. Yep, absolutely, 100%. The camera is just a simple webcam. It's not even built in. The company actually, I thought that was pretty smart of them not to actually build it in, because if something did go wrong with the camera, then you'd have to replace the whole board just to get to the camera. So it's literally, it's a clear touch web camera, and that's another thing with that company is that they created their own products. So we're going to be showing the document camera next, which is a clear touch document camera. That's a clear touch webcam as well, and we have a clear touch keyboard. So a lot of their products is built for their system, where many others, they just, go to Office Max and pick them up, and then they never really jive very well. So,
Is that number 4? We on number 4? Or go ahead, Rob.
I find this a really interesting topic. As a parent who has kids in the district that are going to be using these, for any of you that did the research to select the boards, did they provide you, or have you done research that shows using this type of board, using this type of technology provides higher levels of engagement, better test scores? I'm just curious if, because getting a child engaged in what's going on, is a big part of them learning, I would assume, right? So to me, if you have a kid that, just is unfortunately connected to their phone more than they should be, but they go into a classroom and they're like, oh wow, this is just like my phone, and I'm learning something now. Was there anything like that you ran into?
nothing like statistically. I'm sure there is, to be quite honest with you. I'm sure there's something statistically out there that maybe you guys might be aware of. I don't know the exact numbers, but I got to believe that anytime you have a level of engagement of what we just saw here about 20 minutes ago with the quiz, anytime you have that kind of level of engagement in the classroom, you're going to see better results. I really believe that. So.
Number 5? Go to
Anyone
number
else?
5? Yep, go ahead.
Yep. Okay, we're going to move on. All right. Did you have a question, Bob?
Loud.
Yeah, louder.
This is Bob Nachowdry, teacher on special assignment and a science teacher in the district.
I just wanted to respond to your question earlier about, does this help to make teachers, are we all going to be on the same level? I came into this district 25 years ago, and I was a content specialist just like him. We've both been biology teachers, and I am not technologically as brave as these guys are. But I will tell you that through the years, just the fact that our district has continually had technology at the top of their list and constantly, providing us different means to help our students learn made me learn. And I have colleagues and friends who say over those 3 years or those 2 years of the COVID time, they can do stuff now that they were never able to do. So that curve of growth, like Mr. Laurie was saying, is undeniable. And how that helps us is that we can then bring the best to our students. I've taught at the high school, and the STEM technology that we had in our classroom is incredible. And often when I talk to my colleagues all over the place, they're just in awe. They're like, you guys have all this stuff? And I was like, yeah. Anywhere where a teacher can grow and expose their students to that, there is evidence of learning and engagement. And a lot of the research at the higher level that connects technology to engagement, there's evidence of learning. So I think if we looked in our classrooms and we looked at the data of the students where teachers are using all this, I believe you would find evidence of growth and better learning. Just wanted to share that.
Sure sounds like one of those facts.
So far, yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, let's go to number 5.
The next feature that we want to show off from our board here is something called, we're calling more of the mobile document camera. So currently the teachers are kind of tethered to the wall about a foot away from the smart boards themselves, and you can see them sitting in a little student chair right next to the camera, and they have a piece of paper under it, and they're showing, whatever. So this is actually a mobile document camera that ClearTouch produces, and you're able to walk around the classroom. Look at that. See that? Look at that. That's worth a million words right there.
Oh, jeez. Kim.
There we go.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim.
So this is what I call a mobile document camera. Most document cameras are, like I said, they're tethered to the wall 3 feet away from the board, and the teachers are by themselves, isolated from the students. Now, You can pick up this camera, we can walk all over the classroom, drop it in front like what Dave just did there. We could take snapshots of kid work. We can analyze student work, good, bad, or otherwise. That's something that it would have taken, if I was going to do that and bring up student work, it would take. Yeah, it does. It's for luck or something. Careful, Kim. That's my boss, Kim. Kim, that's my boss, Kim. Okay,
Sorry, Kim.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Kim.
Thank you, Kim. If you want to color more hair, you can do that.
Yeah. Kim.
That would help. Yeah. Hey, we're all there together.
Oh, yeah.
We're all there together. I'm there right with you.
Take a shot at him like that.
There you go.
Yeah, there, thank you.
That looked like your yearbook picture right there. That's a high school LaSalle yearbook picture right there.
Yeah, to Alaska.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Aside from the picture, it's really cool, I'd like to say.
No, we could not do that right now with our current. A lot of the things, everything we're showing you right now is something we can't do with under our current situation.
Maria, calm down, please. My God, Maria.
Yeah, so being able to take a picture like that, blow it up, screenshot it, write on it, show student work, not student work, just unbelievable.
So he can walk around and show my problems. It could all be displayed.
Yeah, for doing math, I could show, okay, let's take a look at how Mark couldn't add 2 + 2.
Right.
And then, that kind of thing. We can look at it with his good work, we can look at bad work, all that. Okay.
Great.
All right, that's the mobile document camera. Number 4, multi-screen division. This is something that's really cool. Again, something we cannot do. This is called zones. So I can take my board right now, I can divide that board into any number of zones that you see there in that picture. All right, so if I wanted to go into quad zones, okay, so I can have 4 different applications going on at the same exact time. All right, I can have a YouTube video, I got the nodes playing, I got the pictures over here, I can have one of those games from online showing over here. So again, multi-purpose interactive board. That's what we're looking to do here. All right. Like I said, I can have 4 YouTube videos going on at the same time. I can put the March Madness games up there if I really want to. 4 games all at one time. Okay? If I wanted to. Can you do the adjusting of the zones? So each of those zones can also grab, and then you can adjust. So say, all right, I want the kids to mainly see this part of the board. I want the kids to focus on that part of the board. And all those zones can be established. Those can all be set in stone when the student first walks in the room. They can see the morning announcements over here. They can see their bell work over there. They could see, whatever the teacher wants to do. All right, so that's called zones. It's pretty unique to the board.
Is it unique to this company?
No, I think the other boards we had zones, but like Smart, for example, I take that back. Smart board couldn't do any of that, the original Smart board. The only thing they can do is like when you take your computer and try to split your computer into 2 halves, but nothing like that where you have, and so quite honestly, Smart lost a lot of points into that because we want to be able to have full functionality in 4 different zones of board. A lot of boards couldn't do that.
But this is where the tabletop would come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just come over here to my zones, and I could pick, instead of just, I'm in the 4 quadrants right now, so instead I would pick this one with different arrows, so it's facing the outsides, and you can see these 2 flip upside down.
So if the board was flat, right, if the board was flat, you'd be sitting on one side and then the other 2 would be sitting on the other side, and that's why it looks that way. Okay? So again, zones is just something very, very unique. All right. This next one, there's not a demonstration here. This is more of a picture. This is what Ray was referring to back before we started the demo. Some other component of this board is called Command. And what's really nice about Command is that it only takes one person. If a board goes down at Niagara Falls High School and whoever our tech is in charge of making sure the boards are all working, they can be sitting here at central office. They can remote into each board all around the district. All right, so we don't have to send, boots on the ground kind of thing and send them off to Niagara Falls. Like, you can literally do it from one computer directly into a board. Wow. We can schedule all the boards to shut off every single night at 3:30, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, so there's no boards that are left on draining power that Earl always, refers to. All right, so this is an ability that we have that we can shut all those boards down. If we wanted to, we can set it so like if there's going to be a professional development on a Saturday, we can set it for the time that those people are going to be in there and shuts off when they leave. And then ultimately, if you look close enough on your picture, I know it's a terrible picture I found, but you can see in the back where it says breaking news. So Mr. Laurie would have control, the principals would have control if they want to send off a message to the entire district. If Mr. Laurie wanted to send off a message to the entire district simultaneously by click of a button, he can take over every single board in the whole district and give off
Love that.
I thought he would.
It's my favorite.
I know.
It's my
another
favorite
microphone.
thing I heard so far.
It's another microphone that he has access to.
Yeah, I'd like a phone and a case.
He literally can get on every board at one time.
Like the red phone?
Yeah, like the
It
bat
is
phone.
like the bat phone.
I love that feature.
I thought you would like that one. But even the principals in their own building, if they wanted to, if there was, heaven forbid, an emergency that was actually happening in the building, we can send off an emergency access message that's going on in the building, lockdown drills and those kinds of things. Heaven forbid in that. Principals can operate this, superintendent, anybody that we want to give that kind of control to, we can do that. All right, so yes, it's from a tech standpoint, it's great in which we can do those remote services, but from a safety standpoint, from a messaging standpoint, communication, you can't beat it. All right, you can't beat it.
You got it, brother. All right, number 2.
Okay, that's command. Now, number 2 is casting. All right, so casting of the student laptops. We're going to do a quick demonstration here. Dave over in the corner over there has 2 laptops. So casting to student laptops. Now, we can cast up to 50 laptops, or up to 50 devices, I should say, can tie into the board. We can cast up to 9 different student devices to the board at one time. So right now, the screen that you're looking at is a student laptop. Coming in right now. That one's Dave's.
Beautiful.
All right. So you have 2 student laptops. It's 2 student laptops that are on the board at the same time. So if the teacher wanted to see student work, they can do that. And we can blow that student, so just so that you get the whole.
Is that the screensaver for everybody? Wow. Oh, that's yours.
So when you get command, you can send that out to everybody too.
Jeez.
All right. So yes, this is one thing that this board is one of the few boards that can do that.
Yeah,
Smart can
I
only
like
cast
it.
up to 4.
Wait
This
till
one
the
can cast
personnel
up to
report
9.
comes.
So it is a feather for them, for sure. Okay.
And I don't know if you saw, I have control of his computer, so I can change things, I can actually draw, I can draw on it there.
Oh, here we go.
I know.
Let's go to number 1.
All right. And number 1, and again, these were kind of really in no particular order, but so that was some little bit of casting demonstration there. That's a quick video on that. So basically, number 1 is something we've kind of already been using. It's something called the Infinite Whiteboard. And this is really a big-time teacher tool. And the Infinite Whiteboard it's kind of what it sounds like. Like right now, we have regular whiteboards in the classroom where you're just writing and drawing on a whiteboard. Then you got to erase it. The problem is when you erase it, it's gone. But as you can see here, everything that she wrote from the time we started is still on the whiteboard itself. So we're able to shrink it, push it away, come back to it later. If I wanted to, I can make up one screen that'll have my entire chapter worth of material. And that way the kids, it's always fresh because it's always on the screen. All right, I can bring in pictures. So there's the Hyde Park website from the drone footage I took back in the fall. I could put QR codes, pictures, I could put student worksheets, and then once I'm done with all that, like she's showing you, all right, just shrink it one more time, and then push it off to the side, and we can go back to the original drawings, we can go back to the pictures from the document camera, and so on. So it's an infinite, that's what he's saying, it's really a good teacher tool. Not a lot of products have that, an infinite whiteboard, all right? So, again, there's a lot more, and we've already been at this now for a long time, so I thank you guys for sticking through it. Go ahead.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
Of everything that you've seen and talked about, what is the single most advantage of this product?
Teacher, we'll start with you. Yeah, no problem.
The infinite whiteboard I adore. I love being able to move things around. The whiteboard I think is one of the single most used. It's chalkboard, board. This is what I'm going to use. This is my old standby. But the fact that I can go back to my desktop, this is the desktop. So this would be, if it was in my classroom, this would be my computer. I can go into my OneDrive. I can pull up assignments. I can pull up a worksheet
It's home. Yeah, it's home.
It's home. So I know how to move around here. So as a teacher, it looks like fancy new technology, but there's nothing new here. I can get to all of my folders. I can get to my network. I can get to OneDrive from here. Everything that I already have is available to me. Plus, then I just have to learn how to hit this button to get to my whiteboard. So there's no losing ground for me at all.
Yeah.
There's only moving up and learning more.
The days of our teachers being really tethered and chained to the board or to a wall, because our hubs where the boards were all originally wired, some of them are in the back corner of the classroom, so the teachers are isolated in the back of the room
Yeah.
trying to teach in the back corner. Some of the teachers are, like 3 feet in front of the board, and they're sitting on a student chair with that document camera. I mean, so this just opens you up. It opens up you to move around the room and to talk more with the
Let's
student.
put Mr. Carlo on the spot. Anything that you, because you're from an elementary perspective, what the single most important thing to you?
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, we need your microphone.
I'm loud about that. I don't know if I can offer, but my students really enjoy casting their devices. Like in ELA, we use Amplify, and if they wanted to share their work or we wanted to edit student work, they could cast, and like Ed said, you can have 9 devices casted at the same time, so it would just be a 3x3 grid. That was the one thing that I think that we used the most. The multi-touch was pretty cool as well, but I think that that was the thing that we were impressed with the most. I know with one of the other ones we tested, I think you'd only put 3 on the Smart. Yeah, so this by far exceeded what the other ones could do.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Ray?
I don't know who can answer. I have one question. Right. What's the turnaround by the time we get these installed and teachers trained on them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Go ahead, Ray.
Yep. Well, I want to thank, it's very easy to see why we're ready for these boards based upon what we just saw, untrained, self-taught, new technology, and they did a fantastic job. What I would like to share, Russ, and if I could answer your question from a little bit different of a perspective of what this board brings, and it's part of our evaluation system, and it really revolves not so much about the great functionality we just saw, but it's about how we would purchase this board, how it was vetted by BOCES and their standards committee, how other districts, this particular board was purchased by Buffalo School District. 3,000 of this board was purchased by them, and we did a bit of a market share analysis that showed that this board was purchased locally. So the functionality is fantastic, but from a basis of financing, aided, being on a BOCES perspective, the management, being able to maintain our partners, their familiarity, their training, this board also stood out in that manner.
Ray, as you're speaking of that, how long has this company been in business?
Yeah.
That I don't know for sure. I can tell you we met the co-owner, and it has a strong influence, I'll say, down south. And that's what kind of led us to, because one of our points of evaluation was kind of a local presence or the depth of the company. And that's where we leaned on Erie One BOCES. This is on the Erie One BOCES list, which means it went through their standards committee. It's currently being supported by BOCES, purchased, aided. So when I submit our list, which I could show you pretty quickly, all that equipment is aided. It's already been through the process and vetted in a lot of different manners. And again, we have the support with our partners. Phil and his group are trainers and are part of our district.
We'll get that answer for you, though. I'll get that for you.
Yeah, it's a little, if you...
12?
Okay, for 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
I know a lot of companies come and go.
Yes, and that was
especially with technology the way it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If I could real quickly, I just zip kind of through to answer Mr. Villardo's kind of questions. So we're this month, late this month and next month, again, we're going to work with Erie One BOCES and Rocco Specialized as reseller to finalize a project build.
Sorry, Vince Lombardi's at the board, right? Sorry, Mr. Lombardi, could you sit down, please? I'm kidding.
I'm just making sure. Well, because we can't even watch a game film on our smart board right now in the locker room.
How many wins does this guarantee the football team, Ray?
It's got to be +3.
3 wins, Tony.
Let me just tell you this. Let me just tell you this. The more tools I have, the better it is. Just like you teachers have. I gotta have tools.
All right, Ray says 3 wins. Go ahead, Ray.
So May, June, where we start talking about training and professional development and all the things to get ready for a kind of rollout. We're really hoping that we can roll out a small number with responsible PD behind it to help us kind of guide what we need to do logistically for setup, for demolitions, and what the final PD might look like. Summer is really where a lot of the work is going to come. That's where we're going to develop our full rollout schedule. It's 510 boards, so we're not going to be able to drop them in at once. The good thing is we already have existing smart boards, so there won't be any lapse in any sort of instruction. No, I think those are kind of the next steps, but a part of our plan and our purchase plan is we're going to have a reseller. Right now we're working with Ronco Specialized, and for a few reasons like maintaining the warranty, having them as a partner, we're going to, superintendent has a better way of saying it, I say we're going to wear ties. So Wes and Nick and network guys, we're going to be the supervisory agent for the installation. But we thought it best to budget so that we had people that put together 3,000 boards for the Buffalo City School District. They know what they did. It maintains the warranty issue, and it helps us to concentrate on some of the stuff that Ed and Kim talked about.
Wes could have slippery fingers. It could drop, invalidate the warranty. But what I want Wes and Nick and Ray's team to do is be the clerk of the works. While they're being put together, I want Wes walking around watching, making sure they're done right way. I don't want to mess with the warranty.
The other thing too is how much repair work is going to be done to the existing smart boards once they're removed? We have a lot of repair work for walls and stuff like that, or?
Yes, and that's built within one of the pieces that we were talking about, and Earl's already looking at is if in fact it goes to a mobile perspective, and I'll just pause for a second, we've defined the default rollout's going to be fixed mounted. The exception will be a mobile environment like we are seeing. We're purchasing the option that gives us all options. We can be on the wall, it can be mobile. So for instance, if it's decided to be a mobile solution, we're most likely going to introduce a whiteboard in its place.
And we have money in the budget that we're going to show you in about 5 minutes, a good amount that we don't think we'll use for patching, painting, and it's been my position that in that case, Earl's staff would handle that end of the deal. I don't know how. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say, but
the good thing is we have the option to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
That's a part I always, when you have options, you're kind of in a good spot, and we plan for options. So the summer will be kind of all the things that you see up there, define and begin a rollout schedule, some turnkey trainers, talking about making the decisions of mounted and not mounted, define a demolition schedule, whiteboard replacements, all the things we just kind of talked about. And then we start our rollouts based upon that work. It's going to be an agenda item on the technology committee's agenda for the rest of the school year because all the players will be there to make the decision. So we'll be rolling things out, and then lastly, fall of 2023 is when we start to talk about what we're going to do with the smart surplus auction schedule.
Right.
These are valuable. The Bose speakers in them are fantastic. You could easily plug, because it's older technology to a certain degree, you can plug it into almost anything and have certain things that you want to do for a lot of people. But as we talk about now, it's most likely be moved to an auction perspective.
we're going to be very careful taking them down in storage, and we'll have a very specific plan for reselling them or whatever we need to do. I think there's a market for the speakers.
Yeah.
I don't know what the market's like, but there's a market for the speakers. I just liked so much of what Kim, Peter, Ed, Dave, Bhavna, Ray talked about. I think a lot about our special needs children. And when you think about these boards and you think about engagement with special needs children, it again becomes an even greater equalizer. I love the tabletop. I love the tabletop. I did just very comfortable with the committee, and I'm very comfortable with the recommendation. And the process was arduous, and they looked at everything. And I'm extremely proud of our technology committee, our teachers, our non-instructional people that worked at this. So we wanted you to see, because you're making quite an investment in this. And to your point, Mr. Bilson, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that our teachers do get the training and use this with kids in the appropriate way, albeit knowing that everybody is on a continuum. And we just have to keep continuous growth with our staff as well. So, Ray, I'm very comfortable with the work you did, and I want to thank you and everyone else. I don't know if there's any other questions.
How is the sound on that?
That's a good question. Repeat that. Would you, Kim?
I said, how is the sound on that?
Sound. We didn't talk about that.
The sound.
So all I do is swipe up
Hey, put a little Perry Como on for Mr. Massaro or something. Oh, or Seven Day Faith, one of the CDs we've got downloaded.
You got any Led Zeppelin on this thing?
There we go.
Oh, this is YouTube, my favorite channel. I watch it every night. It's always about State Farm. You know, I can't stand them. Where's Mahomes? Right, Judy? Where's Mahomes is always on that thing.
And the other piece.
Bad bombs. Oh, Wegmans. There we go. Yeah.
Does that help, Earl? Thanks, Kim. In this room, by the way. This isn't our best room, as you know, with sound. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Ray. Anyone else? Yeah.
We weren't even all the way up either. There could go if you want.
I just want to thank you very much for your support.
Great job, team. Great job. So, we do have one more presentation, and it's Miss Rebecca and Miss Julie. And we'd like to give you the latest iteration of the school district budget. And I will the first part of this week's presentation on the budget, and I'll let Ray get it up there, he does. We want to do that. What we want to do first for you today is show you the property tax report card and how it, without getting into the nuances of everything, but how it was calculated, what the tax cap would be for our district, and what you could raise if you raised taxes. Go ahead, Beck.
Okay, and this is much less exciting than everything else we've seen this evening, but we'll go through this rather quickly. It's the same format, same formula that's used every year. It's prescribed by the State Comptroller's Office. We start by calculating the amount of the difference between our debt service and the revenue that we use to pay that debt. So our debt service, our outstanding bonded debt is $12,700,000. Our COPS, our certificates of participation, are $4.6 million. And we also have to include our portion of Orleans Niagara BOCES debt service. So that's the difference between what we pay in capital expense for BOCES less the aid we receive from the state. So that gets added all together. That's our total debt service. We subtract out the building aid that we receive on that debt. We subtract out anything that we are using, in this case, our reserves, to make debt payments. That leaves us an exemption amount of just over $2 million. In order to have a zero levy increase, that difference would have to be at least 1.9 million, 1982. So we exceed that by just $37,000. So that is how much we would be able to raise our levy with a simple majority vote.
Right.
And as you scroll down, the state controller's site is where we input all this information. That's the format it goes in. It's a little more complicated, but it ends up at the same number. We take the current year's levy, which for next year, this is considered the prior year. Our tax-based growth factor is prescribed by the state. It's different for every district. Ours this year is that it's 0.19%. We can grow by just a very small fraction. And then we have to add in the amount of pilots we're anticipating for this year, and that's 1.2 million. And then the amount of our local share of our debt in this year, it gets subtracted out. That leaves us with an adjusted prior year levy of just over 24 million. Then we have to factor in the growth factor that's prescribed by the Office of the State Controller. It's 2% this year because of the rate of inflation. So we take that amount and we still subtract out the debts, the pilots, and then if we have any carryover from the previous year, which we do not, our levy limit then, based on this calculation, is $23,846,511. To that, we're allowed to add the $2 million that we calculated up above. That brings us to an allowable levy of $25,866,596. We can raise taxes $37,000 without needing a supermajority.
So, if I understand it right, I heard three things. Our rate of increase to not have a supermajority is 0.14 or something like that.
Yes, basically 0.15%.
Okay. Secondly, we could raise $37,000. And if we want to exceed that by raising taxes, we have to have a supermajority. Not something that I would recommend, but it's always your choice. Finally, that sheet that Becky showed you has to go on a postcard and be mailed to all of the residents, or no?
No.
What does that have to do?
That is the property tax report card, which comes into play in May.
Okay.
When we do it. This is going to be submitted to the State Controller's Office by March 1st.
Okay.
It's sitting in the portal. We never hit the submit button till we bring it to the board and the public and let them see it.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of numerical figures that I don't understand, but Becky and Julie do, and I trust them. Okay, well, you got another slide you wanted to show here?
Yeah, and this is really just a good visual that actually a counterpart of mine used in a meeting, and it's really not a big effect on us because we have not chosen to raise the levy in multiple years. But if you scroll up a little farther, you can see this graph. The blue is the rate of inflation, and the allowable levy growth factor that's prescribed by the Office of the State Controller is in the orange. So you can see these few years that inflation's really exceeding other districts' ability to, increase taxes.
Yeah.
And For us, it's not a big deal, but your counterparts are probably advocating
Right.
for something, along the lines of equalizing this. But for us, if you were to advocate for something, it would be for them to reconsider the negative tax levy calculation. Because then when a calculation goes negative, which would be more likely to affect us, we would need a supermajority even to keep it flat.
That's why we've been advocating with legislators and NSBA to get rid of the negative tax cap so that if we ever got there, and we're close, we were close this year, we would have had to get 60% to pass the budget instead of 50%. And that is an unintended consequence, in my opinion, of this 2% tax cap that was set by Angry Andy a couple of years ago. So I think this is an interesting, I get passionate about that because we did have to do that once, and we are so close to a negative tax number that it made me really nervous this year, and I just don't agree with it. But I think this is an interesting slide. Look at inflation, and look at what, again, this doesn't hurt us much because we're relying on state aid.
Correct.
But if you were another district, look at inflation and look at what they could raise the tax levy.
Yeah. So, like I said, our focus, though, should be on countering that negative tax cap.
Right. That's our focus. Now, the next part of this, and before you do it, I just wanted to give a little bit of a preamble, and then we'll show you where we are this week with the budget. And here is my preamble. I again applaud Governor Hochul. Governor Hochul did what she said she was going to do. She fully funded foundation aid to the point now where we know what our foundation aid should be based on the 84-page book. The funding should be $112 million.
Correct.
$112 million. That gives us a baseline for next year. So that's really helpful that she did that. I applaud her for doing that. Of course, I also applaud her, but this is in the formula. She included the cost of living increase, right? And I applaud her for doing that. So I really want to thank Governor Hochul for staying true to her word. I also want to thank Governor Hochul because this is in the budget and it impacts the district. She extended the moratorium for one more year on retiree earnings. And as Maria will tell you, it's very, very helpful that we're able to use some of our retirees in various positions and not have a cap on their level of income. That was a very key thing, especially at a time for all districts when staffing is hard to find. And we enjoy the benefits in some cases of using that provision. I want to, however, point out two areas of the budget that I think need to be relooked at. And remember, this is the governor's budget. The legislature will do what they need to do between now and April 1st, and we'll have a final budget. As we learned last year, the governor's budget stayed the governor's budget, and that's good. There are two things for our listening audience and those that are in the room and for our board that I have concern with in the governor's budget after praising her for foundation aid. The first one is a provision in the budget that forces us to report on our progress of electric buses starting next year. I think that, personally, I think that is very premature. And if I know how sometimes these things are rolled out publicly, it may not look favorable for places. And going forward, if this budget passes, we have to report on the progress that our vendors have made on electric buses. I think it's too fast. The second highly objectionable part of this budget, in my perspective, is that she has lifted the cap on charter schools. I find that highly objectionable. I know that there are issues in the New York City part of the state, but I think it sets a very bad message and a very bad precedent. And I believe that we give in the Niagara Falls District and our colleagues in public education are the best option for kids in New York State. So while I'm pleased and thankful for her commitment to funding foundation aid and to give us a predictable formula, we now know what we have to start with already for next year. I would ask for a little bit of a slowdown on electric buses for many reasons that we won't get into tonight, and definitely to the legislator and to Governor Hochul some strong consideration on that provision that removes the cap for charter schools. Having said that, we do have an updated budget for you, and we'll distribute or put that on the screen now. And
Yep, and Julie will take you through.
Julie will take you through that. There's a couple
There
of,
she is, it's Julie.
just a couple of things, because you know I like to interrupt many, many times.
Julie's used to it.
Julie's used to it, Becky's used to it, Earl's used to it, Maria's used to it, Rick's used to it. Remember, anything in blue is something different that you saw on January 18th. So anything that's not blued out is what you have already seen. Anything in blue, you are getting new. So I would ask Julie to take the revenue side first.
So, as Mr. Lurie mentioned, the governor's executive budget proposal came out on February 1st. There wasn't any significant changes in terms of the aid run from what we had already presented in January. But the two items that did change that are shaded in blue, the most significant being the BOCES aid. So that last time we were actually showing a decrease of 2.7 million. But with the purchase of the interactive boards that'll be through BOCES in the 22-23 budget, that will generate aid for next year in 23-24. So we included that, so that increased our revenues. Our building aid changed slightly. That's just as the final aid runs came out. I think that decreased about 90,000.
Okay.
But those were really the only two significant changes on the revenue side.
We still intend to use debt service.
Yes, we do.
As you go on can you scroll just a little over, Ray, so that we can see the expense side?
Yeah. So on the appropriation
side, yeah.
One of the most significant items that was included in the budget proposal was that there was set-aside money specifically designated for high-impact tutoring. That is totally new money. The limited guidance that is available is that money needs to be specifically used for small group tutoring, grades 3 through 8, and it needs to supplement, not supplant, any existing programming. So that was a large budget add of almost 1.6 million.
So I want to really explain this to you, because this is the first time we've ever seen this. And I've asked Rick and Julie to really dig into this, and especially Rick. Julie on the financial side, Rick on the program side. That 1.5, almost $1.6 million has a specific purpose that we have to use it for. I don't know any background on why it came up. We did no forewarning. But that $1.6 million, you could see, as Julie said, has to be used in only grades 3 through 8, only for small group tutoring, a minimum of 2 times a week for 30 minutes. It can be used during the school day or after the school day. Now, how we're going to use that, I can't tell you right now. But we have to use it, and I'm sure that Julie and Becky will have to report that very specifically, and it's very auditable. What I've asked Rick to do is to become very familiar with the rules for how it can be used, and then to recommend programming that are in the allowable bucket to use that money. I'm just not sure where that came from, and it caught us by complete surprise, because there is very, very little documentation out there about it. I think one of the concerns I have, speaking frankly, is going back I'd say 6 or 7 or 8 years, Rick, when we had to use that. We got a bucket of money for supplemental support, and we had to use outside vendors to do that at parents' requests. I don't want to say that that's what it's for, because Rick even has to study what the word tutoring means. Because tutoring means something different to me than it does to Rick, and it means something different all through the state. So I have to give you more information about that number. It is revenue coming to us. What we're going to spend it on and how we're going to use it, I can't tell you today, but by budget time, April 1st, we'll have a better handle on it a little bit. But that is, we never saw that coming.
Right.
There's really not a lot of guidance, is there?
No.
Now, whether that makes the test of time with the legislator or not, I don't know. I don't see it going away. I mean, I appreciate the money, but I'm just very vague on the rules right now of how we have to spend that.
Right.
Moving on, Julie.
So next, the next shaded line is our BOCES line. We had our initial participation meeting with Erie One BOCES. We go line by line. So that increased about $233,000 from last time, and really that was just rate adjustments. And the last change was the teacher retirement system rate. We had estimated 10% in January. The teacher retirement system actually came out and said the rate will be, their estimated rate will be 9.76. So we decreased that by about $121,000.
With that additional money, you can see that what the public is asked to vote on has now risen. I mean, we received good revenue, and we have offset it with what we think we need to spend money on, even to the point, Mr. Velardo, somewhere in there we accounted for those, what you asked about. I think it's in there somewhere.
We did the installation and the demo.
Oh, there it is, the installation. See, the installation and demo of interactive whiteboards. We put money in there just in case it's, it's going to cost us something. So we tried to anticipate anything and everything we needed to spend anything on, which was the genesis, I think, of your question there. That probably is an overestimation of how much it'll cost, but we didn't want to leave anything out. But that number has grown. Remember, in this budget, we have taken back every salary and benefit of a person, of an FTE, from CRISA or APR. So when that money goes away in 19 months and 17 days, we're not going to be saying, how do we pay for them? We got to cut it. We took it back this year, which in fact raised that money, raised that bottom line up 2%, 2.5% more than if we didn't do it. So it is a very, if you compare that number with the rate of inflation, which is about 8%, we're growing by 7.35 if you didn't take the grants, but 9.69 because we took the people back from the grants. And just like we never banked on casino money, we didn't want to leave the people hanging out there and not have a home or not have the ability to continue to hire them. And not have an ability to help our kids. So that number is getting very high, ladies and gentlemen, but that's the way we calculated it. This has no tax increase. This has no reduction in FTEs. It actually adds some positions to the budget in areas that I'll continue to talk to you about, such as, just very briefly, Rick is reconstituting our PEP, our early primary intervention program. I would like to add to our PS2, our post-secondary program at the high school. And we're having a very good run on our PTE program, our alternative pathway program. We had a good meeting with the teachers this week. There is a position or two there that we'd like to add to in terms of physical education and maybe something else. So there's no loss of FTEs here. There's one more page I just wanted to show you. If you scroll up and just scroll over. In the spirit of being completely transparent, there are all your reserve funds. Now we're able to project them. There's the tax levy, what you could raise without a supermajority. The grant carryover, we have grants, we have 1 million grants, not 1 million, we have a number of grants. We have carryover money there. That is what's sitting in your casino budget. Just so you're aware, we just received our third of fourth payments for this year, and we think we'll have 2 or 3 more payments, and then that compact ends unless we're continued as a 99H. Okay, that's still up in the air, but one of the uses of that casino money will be to use for the 2 cents on the capital projects we're doing, because we're out of Excel money. So we will be asking you to tap into that casino money there. And there is a little bit of money starting to grow back in our Greenway Fund. We do use Greenway for debt service, but we're starting to grow it back up. Now, this is where you have been expert leaders, board members, and fiscal stewards. What I have to say, and I will say it public because it is a fact of what we're dealing with without detail. We are on the precipice of some very, very significant legal issues with Child Victims Act. I'll leave it there. So, very significant and concerning to this page. That's all I want to say there, and I think you know what I'm talking about without getting into it too much more. But I'm talking significant issues, and unless there's some relief, this is what our Drescher and Malecki would report to you, and it's a public document, so I don't think the public shouldn't know that. Julie, Becky, anything I forgot before the board has questions? Let's open it up. Anyone? The next step, on February 23rd, we will take that blue off and pick another color. Any changes that happen, you'll see it in another color. Just so that the board is aware of this, each Thursday after this meeting, I send this document to the union presidents to share after, you've seen it, it's a public document, and encourage any staff member to call us with questions. I want to make sure our money is fiscally transparent and people can ask us questions about it. So we do share that every Thursday night after we share it with the board. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Members of the board, we have an agenda review, and then we are done unless we want to have Mr. Pareto design any more plays on the whiteboard.
I love that. Let me take that.
Can you go to the agenda for a minute, Ray? Sir, thank you. Thanks, Ray. So this is for the 23rd. This is not next week, the following week is our next meeting. We have a gift that's going to be presented to you, the board members, to help support the Black Excellence Program, mentorship program that Mrs. Jones created at the high school. So we've invited a couple of guests at 5:30 and to come to dinner with you because they're going to give you a gift. There was a request from a board member for a sister school update. At that time, Ms. Tompkins, Ms. Buckman, Mr. Marino, Mr. Brundage, and Mr. Corella will give you an update on the pluses, successes, challenges, deltas, and where we're going next on sister schools. Becky and Julie will come back to the board with the budget. We'll review the agenda. And then I have to add, and Judy did a nice job, I think, here, Niagara Falls High School, and I know Mr. Ventry's here. Niagara Falls High School, I'm happy to tell you this, was able to graduate 5 additional students in January that weren't successful in the summer. And those are 5 more that graduated, and he offered all of them to come. 2 of the students and their families have chosen to come, so we'd like to present their diplomas to them at 7 o'clock on that day. They earned their diplomas and they should be recognized. So we will have 2 of the 5. 2 coming, Ed? 2 are coming and 1 wants to. Okay. We gave them the option Do you want to come and get your diploma now, or do you want to wait till June? One has said they want to go through the whole class, and we'll let him or her do that. You'll give 2 diplomas out. If you go to the agenda, Ray, one other note, audit committee, we are going to have an audit committee in March. In March, there will be an audit committee meeting before one of the meetings. At that time, we'll update the audit committee on the budget, the internal controls audit, and we will also do the claims auditing, you know, where we look at how many confirmatories, all that stuff. By the way, which we're doing very well at. I mean, we're down to maybe 1 a month, which is record setting. So again, it's because of those ladies over there. There are the names of the students getting their diplomas. 2 budget transfers away from Mr. Bilson singing, budget transfer number 7. We have 6 short-term contracts. Let me go through these with you right now. The first one is for a special needs student who is also bilingual. We have to provide that in the student's home language, and we don't have anybody on staff who can do the evaluation bilingually. So we have to contract out for a special ed student. That's Stephen Miller's company. He is also a wonderful singer and has a band. Also doubles as a, no, I'm kidding. He's Steve Miller, right?
Steve Miller band.
No, it's not. It's not. Sorry. Huh?
Abracadabra.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. He's a joker. Yeah. Some people call him Maurice. It's getting to be 8 o'clock, all right? Ann Kent, this is a teacher resource center offering through the TRC. The next 3 are from Bleneva Bond School. These are celebrations that the Bond School will do for Black History Month and Black History Month Extended. So it's not just for Black History Month in February, but they're going to work with the Underground Railroad, the Zuzu Acrobats, and Takara Marzaret for African American studies beyond the month. And there are a nominal amount of money, all paid for out of grants. And the final one is Tom Lowe. Tom is working with us in Cornell Cooperative Extension. He is providing workshops and help for our gardens that grow outside of our schools, and these materials and his services are paid for from a farm to table grant. So those are the 6 short-term contracts for the month. I don't anticipate any additions. Moving ahead, there is no unfinished business. The first one is the receipt of gift from the group that's going to come before you at 5:30. This is for the Black Excellence Program. They're going to give you a gift. We'll accept it officially. 602 is to receive $4,708,837. That's the amount of money we get from the entitlements grants. You might have heard Title I, Title II, Title IV. We get about $4.7 million. Rick, Richard, Becky, and the team just went through an audit. We got cleared, so they're going to start releasing our money. There are, interestingly, in that grant, we pay for 50 staff members out of that grant. 50.
That's good.
That's a lot of staff members. 603 is a special education grant. Same thing. It's $2.1 million. We pay for 29 of our staff members out of that grant. 604 is a grant of $289,000 for our universal pre-K program. Pay for staff out of that grant. 605 is our official Head Start grant. We're going to receive this year $2,256,804 to run Head Start. We were cleared to accept that money. Yeah.
Where does that come from? Does that come from the federal government, the state, or both?
A good question, Tony. So let me just, if you don't mind, and I don't want to belabor this, that's one of the grants that comes from the federal government. Head Start is federal. It doesn't touch the state at all, right? It comes right to us from the feds. Where universal pre-K comes to us through the state. Okay, good question. 606 members of the board. This is Judy's beginning of her polling sites, designations, times, May 16th. Same 22 sites, one change. And I've been texting you this, but we are going to alter the hours. We used to go from 12 to 9. We have clearance by the law to go to 11 to 8. And I'm recommending that we change the polling time and polling hours. The only thing that appears different in that is to start the polls earlier and close them earlier. And that's the allotted time, right, Jude?
That's correct. We are required to hold 9 hours, 2 of them after 6 o'clock. So we're well within our time frame there.
607 is another amendment to the 4-year-old program. We need to, by regulation, give community-based organizations 10% of this grant. The St. John's Center gets the majority of that. This is for an additional $10,000 to St. John's out of the grant. They now have another certified teacher and can split the kids up. So we agreed to do that and pay for it out of the grant. 608 is for restorative practices, training for 3 days. 609 is for youth mental health services, the Western New York Mental Health Advocates. We just received a couple of tremendous federal grants. We're starting to use those grants right away. That's for $10,000 to the Mental Health Advocates of Western New York. 610, again, this is to evaluate 3 grants. We get the money for the grants, but we must evaluate using an outside evaluator. 611 was requested by Niagara Falls High School. This is for more mental health counseling at the high school, done by a women and minority-owned business. 612, again, that federal grant we received, we are using a mental health organization called Best Self. This is to begin our relationship in paying Best Self in our new mental health grant. 613 and 614 are no strangers if you've been on the board for a while. We are able to receive $30,000 from Niagara County, and the district kicks in $30,000 for what we call a crime prevention collaborative. This is money that goes for some of our most challenging students who are on the tipping point of maybe not making the best choices. The high school has done something interesting with this. We do still have some students on remote learning, and they haven't earned their way back into the school, and they're not in our Pathways program. So they are being serviced by the Buffalo Neighborhood Federation, and this supports them. We do get 30,000 of it back from the county. 615, we had a very successful program where we took new English learners and refugees every Saturday morning and taught them English and how to help their children. We had 18 women graduate from it. We're looking to have 25 more women or men or anybody that's new to the country get teaching. This is for parent teaching for immigrants and refugees. It's run by Niagara University. 616 is for a project labor agreement. This project labor agreement, by virtue of a study that was done, that we paid for, shows that we'll save 3% on the $11.5 million worth of labor that's being used on the next $40 million worth of capital projects. It reinforces that we'll use local union labor who happen to be our parents, our family, and our citizens. This was negotiated with the building trades unions. We're satisfied with it. It is very similar, almost identical to the PLA that we've used in our last two projects. But we want to put a PLA in place before work actually begins. And 617 is to pay MLP Plumbing. This is the company that's still putting in those drinking fountains. This payment is for $2,208.75. There aren't any other resolutions or policies. The meetings in January are there. I want you to hear from Gaskill. There's the budget. I'm sorry, March. Thanks, Tony. March, and there are the two meetings in March. Maria has some personnel for you, and I have a very important question for her.
Maria Massaro, come on down. You're the next contestant.
As you distribute the personnel report, Maria, and go through it with the board members, I noticed that you thoroughly enjoyed Kim Maynard drawing on the smartboard. Do you want to answer for that?
Well, I did thoroughly enjoy it, Mr. Lloyd. That was one of my favorite pictures of you. And it was nice that Daisy and I took a selfie with you. My favorite things that happen on a daily basis here. Okay. So we do have personnel, and there is no particular reason on the certificated report that the word resignation is highlighted. I will correct that for you by your next meeting. It just ended up being highlighted. So we have several retirements. Those are occurring this year, and one very soon, a phys ed teacher, and a teaching assistant at the end of the year, and an English teacher in March. Yeah, we have some resignations for you. Those folks have decided to move on in the course of this current year. Regular substitutes, those are two appointments that Mr. Laurie is recommending to you. One is for the phys ed teacher, one is for a math teacher who will be out for the balance of the school year. Then you're seeing some regular substitute 60-day conversions there. These are folks who have been in since the days that you're seeing there, and they are converting for the people that they're in for. What that means for those who may be unfamiliar is that after 60 days, they convert to teacher pay and teacher benefits. They were up until that point earning per diem substitute pay. You're seeing an involuntary transfer, some leaves of absence, and then a TRC course. The rest of this report, and there will be some additions the next time, are per diem and Schedule B recommendations. And then as you get to item number 15, you're going to see again appointments to Schedules D, E, F, and G that we will continue to put before you from now until the end of the school year. Any questions on that report? All right, moving on to the classified report. There we have a retirement that is not until 2024. There is a provision in the associate's contract that they do need to give us 1 year notice. So that's why this individual is putting in a retirement now. And we also have a resignation. We have no provisional appointments, but we do have several probationary and temporary appointments. The balance and the bulk of the temporary appointments are in the maintenance department. We had some retirements and we had some shuffling to do in the maintenance department, so you're seeing the results of that. Voluntary transfer, several leaves of absence, and then continuing on with our change of status report as these folks are meeting their probationary requirements and becoming permanent employees in the district. There are very few additional hours that we have to add for you, but there will be an addition to this report as well. Any questions about the classified report? All right, thank you very much.
Just in summary, you still have 2 weeks on the personnel. Nothing's voted on this evening. I don't anticipate any changes to the resolutions or short-term contracts. I do anticipate asterisks for any personnel movement that Maria might need to make. But it's a pretty smooth and pretty easy report. Mr. President, I just have a couple of quick updates, and then I am done, and certainly open to any questions that you may have. And I'm going to repeat this next week for the public record because I want to I want to really put this into the public record at 7 o'clock next week, but, and it follows with the article that I wrote to the Gazette this week, but I couldn't be more pleased or excited for our students and for Niagara Falls High School to report an 83.5% graduation rate. I couldn't be more pleased. Something that you all know too is, yeah, that is worth clapping. Thank you. That is really, oh, first of all, we're not satisfied, but it is really significant. If you know where we came from just 4 or 5 short years ago, that's significant. The second thing I want to say with that, and you know this because we've talked about this many times, the overall rate, you know, that's for the high school. The overall rate is 81%. What do I mean? What's the difference? We have students who go out of district placement. So that even went up to 81%. Something else that I'm going to say into the record next on the 23rd is, when you break down our graduation rate by ethnicity, the graduation rate for white students is 85%. The graduation rate for black or brown students is 84%. Now, where we drop a little bit is the graduation rate for students of mixed race. That's 74%. I point that out because it's significant that our black and brown and even mixed race students are graduating at the same rate nearly as all students. So unlike many districts, and when called by the Buffalo News, they thought that that was one of the best around, that there isn't this wide gap or disparity in ethnicities for graduation rate. And I'm really proud of that and thankful to the high school team for that. So I would like to say that. I also want to report, and I will again on the 23rd, at this point last year, and I know last year was tough, our suspensions are down 53%. And last year was an anomaly year. We all lived through it. It wasn't easy, but we rebounded. And we're down at the same time, 53%. I do want to tell you that we are hopefully moving very close to a major announcement with Say Yes. You know, Say Yes in Buffalo is a big thing. We are, we're working very hard to bring Say Yes to Niagara Falls, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 months, you'll hear a major announcement about Say Yes Niagara Falls for our students. And finally, this packet of 15 pages are all of the Black History speakers, books, performances, events that are going on in our district this month. And it's pretty extensive. And in the article that I wrote, I wanted the community to know that we do recognize and celebrate. And just like we're not satisfied with our graduation rate at 84%, it should be in the 90s, and it will get there, we need to celebrate Black history, which is our history, every month. But I did include that in the article that I wrote to the paper this month, and I'm really proud of the schools for what they did. On a closing note, I just wanted to say it was awesome that many people were here, including my mother, for Rick Carella's birthday celebration tomorrow. So, yeah. Rick is the oldest member of the cabinet without counting the lawyers, and I just wanted to say happy birthday, Rick. Oh. Yeah, no, excuse me, Mr. Massaro. Mr. Corella is older than I am, just so you know. But Rick likes to bring that up quite often, so I just wanted the table to know I'm an equal opportunity picker on her. And after Maria's performance tonight, she's the target for next meeting. She wouldn't stop laughing. I don't know what was so funny, but she wouldn't stop laughing. Thank you, members of the board. Ray, really great job, and team. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? And just one little footnote, our colleague, Mr. Consemi, was able to watch us tonight.
Oh, boy.
I got a note, so he's doing better. He's in Cleveland, and I'll keep you informed.
Get well, Jim.
Get well,
Get
Jimmy.
well, Jimmy.
Come on back, buddy, we need you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for your time.